At 27, Daniel had $800 in checking, $18,000 in debt, and a job he hated. 22 years later, the companies he controlled were worth more than $500 million. But the closest he came to losing everything did not happen when he was broke. It happened when he already looked rich. One customer cancelled. His bank cut a credit line. Payroll was 10 days away. On paper, Daniel was worth millions. In reality, he was running out of time. That was when he learned the truth nobody teaches you. The system that creates wealth can destroy you if you build it in the wrong order. So how did a man with almost nothing build a $500 million business group? Not through crypto. Not through one lucky stock. Not through a genius invention. He used 5 moves, and the final move is why he survived when the whole machine nearly stopped. Most people try to earn more. The rich ask a different question. How can I own something that keeps producing without me? Income depends on effort. Ownership depends on systems. Once one system creates cash, that cash can buy another. Daniel did not understand that at the beginning. Every morning, Daniel passed a small commercial cleaning company. The building was plain and the vans were old, but every night they cleaned hospitals, warehouses, apartments, and offices. Customers paid every month. Then Daniel heard the owner wanted to retire. The company generated about $900,000 a year. Since the owner's children did not want it, he agreed to finance most of the sale. Daniel used a small loan, signed a personal guarantee, and invested nearly everything he had. For one day, he felt free. Then, an employee called off. A van broke down. A hospital complained. Daniel worked 18 hours and discovered the truth. He had not bought freedom. He had bought a job with debt attached. For the first year, Daniel handled everything. Every complaint and emergency came to him. If Daniel stopped, the business stopped. Then an older owner asked him, if you disappeared for 30 days, what would happen? Daniel knew. Customers would leave. Employees would panic. Cash flow would collapse. So he hired an experienced operations manager named Lisa. Her salary cut Daniel's income almost in half. His wife wondered why he had taken more risk to earn less. But Lisa trained supervisors, fixed schedules, and built systems. 6 months later, Daniel took a full week away. The company opened. Customers paid. Profit arrived. The first level of wealth is not making more money. It is becoming less necessary. 3 years later, Daniel opened the business account and saw $300,000. For the first time, he felt rich. He considered a bigger house and a luxury truck. Then Lisa showed him the real picture: payroll, insurance, equipment, taxes, one lawsuit, one lost contract. The $300,000 was not freedom, it was protection. Daniel kept an operating reserve. The excess moved into a holding company, away from the daily risk of employees, vehicles, and customer sites. Some stayed liquid, the rest became acquisition capital. Profit is money the business produced. Capital is money given a new job. Most people spend profit to look successful. The wealthy redeploy it so success can repeat. But Daniel's first investment nearly taught him the wrong lesson. Once Daniel had capital, opportunities appeared everywhere. A friend pitched an app. A developer promised massive returns. Daniel invested $100,000 in one exciting deal. 18 months later, most of it was gone. The presentation was impressive. The business was not. Daniel stopped asking, what could explode? He started asking, what is already working? He bought another cleaning company, then a maintenance company, then a pest control business with recurring contracts. They were boring. That was the advantage. Customers needed the service and cash flow could be measured. 5 years later, revenue passed $6 million. 10 years later, it crossed $40 million. Daniel was no longer betting on ideas. He was buying proven systems. Then, the debt helping him grow nearly ended everything. Debt helped Daniel move faster. But he treated it like fire, useful when controlled, fatal when it spreads. Then a hospital network representing almost 20% of revenue cancelled after a merger. Interest rates rose. A lender reduced Daniel's credit line. Payroll was 10 days away. On paper, the group was worth millions. In reality, Daniel was running out of time. This is how wealthy-looking businesses die. They own assets but lose liquidity. Daniel survived because he had reserves, manageable payments, and had not tied every company to the same loan. He refused to panic sell. Lisa rebuilt schedules, and the team replaced the lost contracts within 4 months. The crisis left Daniel with a rule he never forgot. Leverage does not only increase returns, it reduces the time you have to solve a problem. Growth matters. Survival matters more. As the group expanded, Daniel stopped managing cleaning crews. His most important question became, where should the next dollar go? Buy another company? Pay down debt? Purchase real estate? Keep cash? Now wealth was created through capital allocation. Daniel hired a controller, a tax strategist, an attorney, and an investment lead. Then he hired someone whose job was to say no. No to overpriced companies, no to emotional investments, no to relatives with weak plans, no to Daniel when confidence became ego. This small team became Daniel's family office. Not a giant building a decision system for money, taxes, risk, investments, and long-term control. Daniel did not turn zero into $500 million overnight. He turned one working system into cash, then cash into another system, then several systems into an organization that could make disciplined decisions without depending on one person. By year 15, revenue passed $110 million and operating profit reached roughly $30 million. At around 10 times operating profit, the core companies were worth close to $300 million. Add commercial real estate, minority investments, and later acquisitions, and the total crossed $500 million. The number came from repeating one cycle: buy, improve, protect, reinvest, repeat. 22 years after buying the first cleaning company, Daniel's daughter visited his office. She expected marble floors and a giant boardroom. Instead, she found a small team and a wall of company reports. She asked, "When did you know you had made it?" Daniel looked at the old logo from the first cleaning company. Then he said, "The day the business stopped needing me." That was the real system. The company stopped depending on his labor. His money stopped depending on one company. His future stopped depending on one investment. His family stopped depending on every decision he made. Real wealth was not the ability to buy anything. It was the ability to avoid being forced into the wrong decision. Forced to work, forced to sell, forced to borrow, forced to accept a bad deal because time had run out. The $500 million number was impressive. But control was the real achievement. The rich do not build enormous wealth by working hundreds of times harder. They build systems that produce cash, protect that cash, and use it to buy more systems. And they create rules strong enough to protect everything from fear, greed, and ego. Start with the level you are on. Build the system your current money needs. Then prepare it for the money you want it to become. If this changed how you think about wealth, subscribe, like the video, and comment below. What does your income depend on right now? Your time, one employer, or an asset?